I love how everything weaves together, and it's where I feel it's more of a foresight. I that foresight in hindsight. It's like the feelings how help me to walk more with my head up, along with my emotional state. So it's very I'm very grateful.
There's kind of an irony that one of the first chinks of light that I saw in terms of like, what do we do? What's the solution? When I'd been working in community development for a long time, was when I found out about stress management. Like, what it was actually hypnotherapy, which is you get somebody to go into a state of relaxation, change the waves from beta waves to alpha waves, or whatever it is, theta, I can't remember now. And basically you just tell them they're secure, they're safe, and rewire the hard drive that they have in their mind. But the irony is that that was taught to me by somebody who was in the army. He was a colonel or something in the army. And so the army have these tools and this knowledge, but like, what are they doing with it? You know? Yeah.
So thankfully we have it too. Yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting because there's a lot of misconceptions too. I just always, before I started working with returning veterans, I always had, you know, my sort of conceptions about what the military was. And I was so blown away at how much disinformation even occurs between even one branch to the other, or, you know, ranks and things like that. I was just blown away at how much, you know, and it's no wonder there's all this misperception, or, you know, some people fear them and hate them, some people love them and honor them. And it's like they're really just caught, you know. Some of the ones that I've met, it's like they've had challenges, like they have to show up in some area and they have to build a cafeteria type of structure, and then, you know, like bathroom type structures. They're not given really any information. And these were the women I was talking to, the military women, which I find is incredible. So I don't know why that just came up for me, but there's just so much. There's just so much to unpack with what you said, Nefertiti, and also with you, Trey. I'm just feeling, wow, what you must have gone through, and all that you have done in the healing aspects of life. And the thing that came up for me the most is alchemy. That's and the peacock. Yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're turning curse into blessing. We're alchemizing. We're turning poison into a blessing. You know, the peacock apparently can eat poison, and what it does to itself is it creates that plumage, those feathers. So just holding that idea in my mind that it is possible, you know, that even the worst curse or the worst whatever could be alchemized, and that beautiful energy transmuted into something as beautiful as peacock feathers, is very inspiring to me. And both you, Nefertiti, and Trey, you had me really get a taste of that today, which I really thank you for.
So admittedly, I'm still in mourning. I've had some really beautiful opportunity to be pointed in the direction of some really brilliant work. And there's a gentleman named Martin. It's spelt Martin, but he goes by Martin Prachtel. And he's He's a Mayan shaman. And he speaks about grief as praise. And then there was another course that I was in that talked about the distinction between grief and mourning. And it's actually interesting. Grief is inevitable. Everybody grieves. It shows up in different ways. It shows up in the body. It shows up in sleeping patterns. It shows up in eating patterns. It shows up, it's very physical. Mourning is expression of grief. And if we don't allow ourselves to mourn and to express, then what happens is grief gets trapped in the body. And so there's this real, I never knew that. That was a perspective that was new to me, but it just made so much sense when I heard it. And much like there's this sense that it takes a village to raise a child, it also takes a village to help people grieve. And we don't do that. And that's where a lot of the psychoses and a lot of the things that happen in our society is, you know, you were talking about fear earlier, Amjit, and our perceptions of control, our perceptions of power, it's all based in fear, that is all based in some kind of trauma and some sort of an lack of opportunity or lack of awareness, or what, you know, let's not make it a negative, but just the opportunity to grieve, the opportunity to mourn and to express the grief. And for me, I come back to the arts, because when I can't express my grief, all I have to do is put on certain pieces of music, and then I can start crying. And that's a good thing. You know, it connects me to my heart again, instead of the heart closing off and becoming bitter. And yeah, it's emotional intelligence is it's a skill. It's something to I mean, we're born with it. It's innate. It's wired in us, but it's also culturally wired, you know, programmed out of us. And so the more we can get back to our hearts and our beings, the better. And I'm super, super grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do we want to do a checkout?
Yeah, yes, we can. Unless anybody still has something more to express.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Nefertiti.
This file that was shared.
Mhm.
Description.
Sorry, I should have. Yeah, it's Richard Rudd. He puts out these beautiful gene keys every week or something like that. And this one's beautiful because it just reminded me of you guys this morning when I saw it. It's called the Family of the Future will be the whole community, the fellowship of humanity itself, which is gene key 49, Rebirth. So that's what that was.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I guess whew, wow, this is so powerful. And I'm returned, thank you, and restored to what I had declared, and to just kind of put a line in the sand. In 2004, I knew exactly where I was and who I was with, and I came up with this saying, and you're supposed to proclaim it to the rest of the people that are there. And I got up on a chair and I proclaimed that from this day forward, you know, my heart and my art would decide my actions and create my destiny, not my head anymore. you know, it was a bad neighborhood in there. So, and I've returned to that. I mean, I wrote it down. I wrote it, you know, I had it with me all the time, but over time you forget. And I know that what you guys did for me today was remind me of that. That the closer that I live to my heart's desire, the more I heal, the more I can express my grief, the more I can uh, live these finer qualities of life that are, you know, honoring and glorifying to humanity. And so the closer I live my life to that heart, and then art is right in there in heart. So I have this whole concept that I'm working on called heart work that I've kind of again put on the back burner, but you guys keep reminding me that I need to keep evolving these ideas because they are impactful and they are beneficial for people. So checking out with a sense, again, where I started with this sense of peace, and maybe that neutrality, who knows, is that 0 point where anything can happen. And nothing is as it seems, and the meaning we attach to words is the meaning that we create, the ones that empower us. So thank you again for that, and I'm signing off with gratitude and love for all of you.
Yeah, I'm checking out very full, very appreciative. I Yeah, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, honestly. Just not, you know, I'm not necessarily because of what transpired here, but of what I'm going into later today as well too. Very much honoring, you know, the sacred feminine, you know, the feminine presence, because that's kind of been a theme of my life where I will, you know, initiate activities like this, or I'll initiate fellowships like this, and it usually ends up being me and, you know, a group of 3 or 4 or 5 other women. And I'm going into a male and female group later today, and just being with your micro experiences that you introduced, Trey. What I'm very reflective of is the yin and the yang energy, where it feels like the yang, or the what we think of as masculine, is very much active, you know, with safety and desire. Desire, of the root Latin, is of the father. You know, so there's a very a masculine connotation to that, where the feminine really is of the appreciation and the curiosity. So as I'm melding all of those concepts together and alchemizing, you know, the polarization of yin and yang, active, receptive, I'm just very present with being curious and appreciating my desire for safety, or the safety I find in desire. So I'm checking out, feeling very full, processing a lot, and a little bit afraid of what I'm stepping into. There are men in that group who have expressed triggers with me personally, you know, because instead of wanting resolution, I'm curious about, you know, what are the barriers to intimacy. And you know, that's triggering a lot of the other men in that group, and I'm present with that. I'm present with the discomfort of that, and I'm grateful, you know, to the 4 of you to help me become present with that as I attempt to reach out to my fellow men, and, you know, be able to, you know, to be able to open up those barriers to intimacy and be less attached to resolution, which I'm finding is a very male centric thing. So I'm checking out, feeling very full, very grateful, and a little bit of fear, which is okay. I'm good with fear. With that, I'm out.
I'll step in. Because in part what I'm weaving is I'm weaving what you just said, Mike, with actually how Nefertiti started today, which was coming to terms with your desire. Desire is another one of those loaded words, man. Like, it's just so, like, people are like, huh, what? The yeah. And where I'm sitting right now is in this place of the distinction between desire and object of desire, and how much we equate our desire with the object of our desire, instead of seeing it as simply fuel, and what assists us to come in tune with our desire. And so for me, in this conversation, what has been just really, really, really like right in my face, in not in a bad way, but it just like it's like loud, has been how much I, for myself, desire this really beautiful acceptance. Richard Rudd, you bring up Richard Rudd. I'm currently in the Venus sequence deep dive with Richard right now. So it's all about love and self-love. And he talks about allow, accept, embrace. Allow, accept, embrace. And I'm realizing sometimes that I don't really allow myself to feel my feelings, because there's this fear, this niggle that it's like, if I actually go there, I'm never going to come back out. Like there's that, like I'm going to get lost in it somehow. And this perception that then is bad, right? Like there's this whole string of associations. And what I witnessed in myself today, a bit to my surprise, to be honest with you, was an ability to feel into it and to express it without it completely and utterly taking me out of the ballpark of the conversation, because my intention was to be so present to each of you and not to just get lost in spinning out in the past or in, whatever's triggering me in this moment. And not that I have to make a judgment about it, but it's just but it's sort of like an observation of, okay, look at that. Look what I just did. And so from that standpoint, I'm feeling very grateful.
That's a very high attainment, Trey. That's a very high attainment.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So I want to say well done to Trey for achieving that. And it's something that I notice is perhaps more of a male trait. And that's why, Mike, you're kind of doing some really great work in including men in these groups and encouraging them to kind of go to those places where they've never dared to go. Yeah, it's something like they're so brave, aren't they? They go to war and, they forage and provide and everything else and protect. But there's like that territory around emotions that just seems out of, what's the word? Out of, not context scale, out of proportion to how they avoid and fear going there. Yet if they did, it would be so easy. And on one of my travels, I did meet somebody who had flipped that, had kind of walked through that male can't go there-ness and come out, and he said it's life is wonderful now. He can say what he feels. He doesn't feel the need to be like other men, or to say things that might be judged to be not a male thing to say. And he's just really, really happy, and his world has opened out. He loves to meet people and talk to them, and it's given him a whole, he's like one of the happiest men just because he opened himself up to go into that little world that people don't want to do. So I'm checking out with a feeling of joy and gratitude for being in this group. Thank you.
What else can I add? I'm sitting here right now and the house is bustling with activity. I can hear my family members in the room, and I have such gratitude for this moment, for each of you here. And just knowing that the time, bringing to my awareness, Michael, the time, there's a song, time is on our side. That's what I'm checking out with. I'm checking out with being in that piece of, I have support. And it's okay to feel however I feel. And the letting it go, letting it be, and finding people to share that with. I'm very grateful. It's tiring. I can feel a little bit tired. But I think that comes with the territory, because anything new that I learn in life, creates that integration time. Now I gotta percolate. I love every one of you. Thank you very much. And I'm complete.
All right. Have a great week, everyone. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and please feel free. Anyone want to talk or anything, reach out anytime. Please.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye-bye.